Hello. So here is Gus and Frankie's field trip to the park today. After I filmed this, we did a couple more rotations with people and dogs without the camera, so we could really fine tune it. Gus is definitely your serial puller. As we passed all these kids and families, he was whimpering a little bit because all he wanted to do was say hi. So he decided he was going to pull through all of it. So this is where I was using some hip corrections where I do a hip check. So because they're attached to my pants and treat belt, it was right there you can see I did a little hey focus. I also did some name game recall during this, so I would call their name and you can see Frankie doing it, you can see both boys doing it right there. So here's another example, another view of that hip check where I just take a step back and then they check in and then we can keep walking, or I can grab a treat and then I'm going to call both of their names and each one gets a treat with this. I apologize if the camera is a little weird. I was trying to capture both dogs in the same screen. Also, I'm trying to mess with how we film stuff. But anyways, they do pretty well. I would say like 75% out of 100 is pretty pleasant. I would still recommend wearing strong pants or a belt just because they are pretty strong. And honestly, if you're going to focus on someone, I would say have Frankie be on a belt leash and then actively work with Gus. Frankie does respond pretty well when you have a couple treats on him, get his brain engaged, and then he's not your serial puller. He'll walk with you a couple corrections here and there, or a couple sits like right there. But for the most part, he does pretty well. It's Gus who like gets in his mind of like, no, I'm going, we're doing this thing, and you're like, no, buddy. Now, I am so sorry for all the changes so quickly, but I really wanted to capture how much distractions we did and also how we were able to redirect it. Getting both boys to settle, I didn't reward either of them until they were settled like this. So I think this is when we had a couple bicycles go past. They both just watched it go past, go boys, and then off we go. There's a hip check right there. Pay attention. Now, Frankie knows to get his nose by my hip as much as possible. Gus isn't as familiar with me on this, and that's where you can practice having one dog at a time, having them right next to you, rewarding it and getting that like mental recall. And then when you walk them together, they both have to reinforce it. I was okay with them going back and forth on me on this, but you can decide, nope, I want one on the other, or they can both walk at the same time. I was really trying to capture how many kids we were walking past, how many people we were walking past in this. And this round, you're not going to be able to see it, but when I have the camera kind of like parallel with us, they do pretty well. There were so many kids that we avoided and ignored as we walked past them. And of course, being the beautiful boys that they are, we got a lot of puppies. And the boys, when I told them leave it, they kept going and did phenomenal. I'm really curious to see how they do with you on this capacity. Also, before you go through doorways, before you have those big transitions, asking them to stop and sit. When they're being kind of knuckleheads, stopping and asking for that sit, or giving them a little hip check if they're on you, or a tug and release if they're in your hands. The other part of this too is short leashes. Having them nice and close with you where their bodies are in line with your body is really going to help you be able to work with them through their distractions. If Gus gets his body ahead of you, he's not going to listen. So working on where he has to come back right here, for example, yes, that's what we want with our focus. You can use their breakfast, you can use their dinner, you can just use a handful of treats. But they did pretty well. Let me know if you have any questions. Definitely know what your schedule looks like so we can get a session going on at home or in your neighborhood. And also, again, sorry for the weird angle changes, but also let me know when you're ready or if you're still interested in doing some facility dog work. Both boys are definitely ready for those higher level capacities. I have a couple more questions for you on getting it integrated with it and setting you guys up for success, but they're doing so well. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll go from there.